Greetings YouTube, welcome back to the Metanet channel. I am Marcus, bringing you another video for Cardfight Vanguard Overdress. In this video, we will be going through one of the first villains unit of Cardfight Vanguard, Peanut Butter Dragon. For mechanic wise, as Peanut Butter goes, this deck does focus on Superior Calling rearguards. However, it's not actually Superior Calling to kind of put on the aggression. It is most likely Superior Calling to fuel Peanut Butter's skill. That is to retire his own rearguards to activate some skills. This deck only features a maximum of 3 attacks, which is surprisingly not Shadow Paladin like. But yeah, even if it's only a maximum 3 attacks, it's more of a control playstyle because Peanut Butter Dragon keeps on retire your opponent's rearguard. And yeah, he's really good at it, at the cost of some of your own rearguards, that is. With the amount of rearguards that will be retired for Peanut Butter skill, there are rearguards that actually activate skills when they are retired, which is something to keep in mind. And most of their skill is actually quite disgusting. And of course, the over trigger for Cater Sanctuary is still very devastating, provided if you have the right setup, which is double Bluster Dark. Of course, even with the over trigger, it is not to the level of Bastion. First, of course, is the dog that forever has the sunglasses on, Fullbau. And of course, this is basically a generic stutter, nothing really much to talk about. But yeah, it's been a while since I see Fullbau, minus the V series one. Yeah, so nothing really much to talk about, although he does look like Black Panther to me instead of a dog. Next, of course, we have the Great One, Blaster Javelin. He has 2 skill, although when this unit is rode upon by Bluster Dark, reveal the top card of your deck, call it to rearguard as rest if it's a unit card, and discard if it isn't. Second skill, continuous rearguard circle. During your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Blaster in its card name, this unit plus 2k power. So yeah, this basically helps you with Blaster Dark skill, which we will talk about later on. And call something out as rest might be a little bit awkward, but yes, once we get to know Blaster Dark skill, then you will understand why it's actually very good. But outside of being a right target for your deck, it's really not much usage unless you're trying to retire stuff. I mean, of course, if you have other rearguards that has a better skill than this one, you will definitely want to retire this card. I don't think you will want to run many copy of this as we get a lot more Blaster unit. Next, we have Blaster Dark. This is kind of a downgrade in terms of art because I don't know, the past Blaster Dark art, it's much better than this one. He has 2 skill, although when this unit is placed on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, cost Counterblast 1 and retire another rearguard. Choose one of your opponent's rearguards and retire it, and this unit plus 1 drive until the end of turn. Continuous rearguard. During your turn, if your rearguard was retired this turn, this unit plus 5k power. So yeah, following the trend of the recent Blaster Dark, even in the V series, Blaster Dark now has a twin drive when he's in the Vanguard circle. Of course, he does gain plus 1 drive when you call Blaster Dark on the Rearguard Circle, but Rearguard Circle does not have the ability to drive check, so meaning that plus 1 drive does not work at all. You will never drive check even if you pay the cost, unless of course you got the over trigger. Do you really want to risk it? Next, of course, Peanut Butter himself. He has 2 skill, although when this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, choose a card with Blaster in its card name from your soul, and you may call it to the Rearguard Circle. Active Vanguard Circle once per turn. Counterblast 1, retire 3 rearguards. Choose up to 2 of your opponent's rearguard, retire them, and this unit gets 10k and plus 1 critical until the end of turn. When you ride him, you're basically able to call something from the soul, either a Blaster Dark or a Blaster Javelin, because those 2 are the only Blaster in the soul, because Fullbau is not a Blaster. If you do Persona right, you're still able to call the overridden Peanut Butter Dragon. The iconic plus 10k plus 1 crit is still back. At this point in time, most of your Vanguard attacks are gonna be either a no guard or a PG. So yes, it does provide decent pressure, but other than that, it does not really do much. It's basically just a controlling playstyle. Retire 3 to retire 2 is quite nice, especially if your opponent is rearguard dependent, for example Stoicheia, Bastion. The cost is a little heavy because you will need to retire 3 rearguard. Most of the time you will need to basically call something at rest and then retire those. You will run out of rearguards very quickly, and even some cases, you're forced to only attack twice. So you do really need to think about what to sacrifice and what not to sacrifice. I mean, of course, Retire 2 is always nice. You're able to control the board and basically take away key pieces. For example, Dark Strain and maybe Protobub. So yeah, overall, he is a very threatening peanut butter. And of course, most of the pressure does come from this card. Next up, we have the return of the Maiden of Darkness, Macha. She has only one skill. Although, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Bluster in its card name, this unit gets 5k until the end of turn. Then, Soul Blast 1, retire another rearguard. Look at 5 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to one grade 1 or less unit card from among them and call it to the rearguard circle and shuffle your deck. Now, the skill is a little weird because, I mean, it's a 1-for-1 trade. I mean, come on, you place herself, you Soul Blast 1, retire something, and you check top 5 to call a grade 1 and below rearguard. On top of that, you can only call a grade 1 or below. I mean, there are a few choices which you can choose to retire, choose to call, and since it's a top 5, that will actually increase the consistency in you getting a grade 1 or less. But for me, it doesn't seem like it will do much. And plus, the 5k will only be there when she's on play. So after the turn that you call her, she's basically useless. I mean, you can still retire her by using Peanut Butter skill to retire your opponent. It's not bad. There's too much restriction on this. It's what I want to say. For a mere Soul Blast 1 and retire something, you're putting a lot of restriction on this one card. Come on, Bushiroad, you gotta do better. Next up, we have Black Sage Charon. At this point in time, I still do not know whether this is a dude or this is a girl. Don't judge me. Although when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Blaster in its card name, rest this unit, look at the top of your deck, and you may call it to rearguard if it's a unit card. At the end of that turn, retire that call unit. Put it on top of your deck if you did not call. So yeah, basically this card is able to call a retire fodder for Peanut Butter Dragon. He himself is actually a retire fodder because once you rest him, you might as well just retire him for Peanut Butter skill to retire your opponent rearguards. This just free up spots for you to recall and new units, which is kind of nice. And also do note here, this unit is able to help you stack triggers because you do check the top deck and you are still able to choose either to call or to put that card back to the top deck. For example, if it's an over trigger, you don't have to call it, you can just put it on top of your deck, and then you can proceed to use Blaster Dark to retire Charon, to retire something else and get the +1 drive. Although if you call another Blaster Dark, it's basically just letting your opponent know that, hey, I'm drive checking an over trigger. Overall, very nice. Was not expecting the trigger stacking, but hey, whatever works for Peanut Butter, I would say. Next, we have this grade 3 magnificent dragon. What a waste of art to be a common. Wielens Dragon. Auto, when this unit is retired for your card's cost, Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1, all of your units with Blaster in their card names get 5k power. So yeah, this card is one of those cards that actually activates his skill when he is retired from a card cost. So either Blaster Dark or Peanut Butter Dragon. However, the cost for his skill is a little bit heavy. I don't mind the Counter Blast 1, just that the Soul. If you do notice, there's a lot of Soul Blast in this deck, and there are not many cards that actually lets you Soul Charge, with the exception of one card. But even with that, it's not very consistent. The activation timing is a little awkward as well. I mean, yeah, you could call everything, all your Blaster unit to the front row before you use Peanut Butter skill to give your front row 5k power. But then what happens if you do not have a lot of Blaster unit? That's a problem, right? So you really need to plan a little bit before you actually use Peanut Butter skill, because yeah, with the activation timing and everything, make sure you set up your board before you activate any retiring skill. Next, we have a main ripoff. Witch of Entertainment, Brana. Continuous rearguard circle. If you have a Vanguard with Blaster in its card name, when this unit would be retired for your card cost, you may retire it as 2 rearguards. So yeah, I mean, she's big enough to be considered as a 2 rearguards, if you know what I mean. She basically helps reduce the cost requirement for Peanut Butter Dragon. She exists just to die, since you're basically retiring 2 rearguards in order to activate Peanut Butter skill. So yeah, nothing really much to talk about, all except the fact that she is also 5k, the same as Skull Witch Namain. She does inherit Namain's good genes. Those things are really huge. Next, I'm gonna go through some of the options to build Peanut Butter Dragon. Of course, the first thing you need is peanut and butter. I'm just kidding. Of course, these two cards are basically staplers, but depending on how you view it, Falsado is self-explanatory. When he attack hits, you countercharge 1, soul charge 1. He is the card that actually is a must for you if you want to play Peanut Butter Dragon, because he is the only one that actually gives you countercharge and soul charge. For Auden is a little weird, but it is still an option since Auden does not really restrict to the Bastion name. Next, of course, we have this Divine Sister, although we call her Battle Sister back in the days. So her skill is basically when she appears, you Soul Blast 1 and rest herself, and you check top 2, you're able to put 1 card on the top of your deck and 1 to the bottom. So basically you can stack triggers. Means that if you use Black Mage Charon skill, you rest, you check the top deck. If it's a trigger, then you can just put it on top, and then you can proceed to call this card and Soul Blast 1, rest herself to, if the second one is not a trigger, you can always put it down. And what's more, since she is resting, you are able to retire her for Peanut Butter skill, which is also a plus and also quite a nice tag option for your Peanut Butter Dragon. Lastly, we have this Knight of Heavenly Collapse Calpado, which is a new card for DBT02. Her skill is, it's a her, right? Although when this unit is placed on rearguard circle from hand, counterblast 1, rest another rearguard, reveal the top of your deck, put it into your hand if it is an order or a grade 3, and call it to rearguard if it isn't. So I mean, this card, since she does needs to rest another rearguard, and that particular rearguard can be a sacrificial lamb to Peanut Butter, I mean, why not? You're able to basically +1. You're able to call either a non-grade 3 or get another order to hand. I mean, there are a few orders in Cater Sanctuary that you can basically consider if you want to run this deck. So yeah, these 4 are the tag options that you can consider when you want to build Peanut Butter. Of course, I understand that some of the cards here may look weird, but I would really suggest you trying out different things instead of going for whatever is in the meta, because the meta is not necessarily fun for everyone. You can always try them out, and do let me know down in the comment section if you think they are actually some really good options to build. And that is all for this video. Do let me know down in the comment section of what do you think of Peanut Butter. Personally, I think it's very nice and very crunchy, and possibly very expensive. This is the most expensive peanut butter that I've seen in my whole life. Do like and subscribe if you like this video, and don't forget to ring the bell notification icon so that you don't miss a video that I upload. With that being said, I'll see you all on the field.